Hey, beautiful soul, Stephanie here. Let's go deep because the truth is, once you see it, you can't unsee it. And in this video, I want us to dive into the topic of ascension because it is something that is so prevalent, especially in our social media and in our world today. There's a lot of talk about ascension, but what if it's all been inverted? Okay, the ascension narrative, as beautiful as it sounds and as beautiful as it is, it's often filtered through a lot of distorted lens, because it makes people reach up there while disconnecting us from the right here. It turns divinity into something distant, something that is for us to continue to chase rather than something that is actually meant to be embodied. And this is the same for religion. Religion does this with heaven, like we're waiting for, the paradise. We're waiting for heaven, for the afterlife, when really the truth is it's all here now. And the real ascension is actually descension. It's spirit choosing form. It's God entering the body. It's your higher self taking the seat in your physical vessel. So in truth, ascension isn't about going up and out. It's not about escaping the human experience or transcending the physical. And it's not about waiting for the afterlife, for when you get to heaven and everything is great. No, it's about letting God actually descend into the body. This is not a race to become light, but it is really a return to wholeness, where your light and your matter become one, where our spirit and our form can finally merge inside of us. So really, ascension is within the body. This is the real code that I'm sharing with you. This is a code that's been dropping in me so deeply, and I'm sharing it with you. It is literally the activation of your divine blueprint, not as an idea, but as a frequency. It's a current that moves through your cells, your breath, your nervous system, your voice. It's your higher self learning how to live in the body you have. That is really what ascension is supposed to be. And it's really about you being able to become the midwife for that incarnation. And this is something that most of us aren't taught, that the path is inward. It's not upward, and it's not out there. Everything in our world has been designed to take us out of the moment, to take us out of the body, to wait for some afterlife, to reach to some higher places. It's always later, out there. But all of that is noise, distortion, corruption, to keep you spinning your wheels in this hamster wheel, never really getting anywhere, because the path is inward. It is not upward. And it doesn't matter how high you can fly in meditation if you can't sit with your body's truth. This isn't about chasing bliss as much as we want it to be, because it feels so good after spending so much of our life's experience in trauma, in pain, identifying with our pain body, that when we do experience those moments of bliss that come from and that are part of our spiritual awakening, of our remembrance, it is part of it, but it is not the complete picture. And that can still be a hook. It can still be a diversion from the truth. And that's why all of these things can get inverted and distorted so easily. And so ascension, we keep thinking that ascension is we're going somewhere. It's up, it's out. When it's not. When it's really, really about becoming a vessel that can hold the full current of life. The grief and the joy, the pain and the peace, the stillness and the power. Do we have the capacity, the container within us to hold it, to hold all of that simultaneously within us without drowning or being overwhelmed by it, consumed by it? Because when source fully enters the body, when God fully enters the body, it touches everything that has been stored. The unresolved pain, the unmet parts, the frozen grief, the ache of love. And this is why embodiment is not a trend. It is the initiation. Spirituality is the path that is supposed to lead you towards embodiment. But that too has been distorted. And even so, it is still all perfect, because it is all still part of the path, of the learning, of the finding, of the becoming. But embodiment is what we are here for. It's the building of our tech, of our inner technology, the strength, our nervous system, the heart's capacity to stay, to be here and now, to be able to hold it all. So now if you're on this path, you might be experiencing things that you can't explain. And not because there's something wrong with you, but because something true is coming online. And for anybody who feels magnetized or feels drawn to me, my work, my energy, is because you are one of these people who are and have been coming online. And so some of you may already be experiencing or have been experiencing symptoms for quite a long time. And if you haven't, but you're here in my space, in my vicinity, is because you will be soon. You may notice maybe crown pressure, like pressure in the top of your head, a lot of head tension, emotional waves with no clear trigger, spontaneous movement, breath, sound, vibrations pulsing through the body. Look at the sound of those birds. They're singing to us. The heart flutters, expansions, and even sudden grief, a lot of purging, just a lot of physiological symptoms that you can't really explain. And these aren't malfunctions, and it's not just energy. These are actually signals. It is your inner technology, the sacred intelligence of your system that is reawakening. It is your divine operating system that is realigning. I love the birds. They're singing to us. And as this divine operating system starts to realign, it starts to come online. And this is when your life begins to change in subtle yet very undeniable ways. This is when you will notice that your voice softens and deepens. Your presence begins to impact others without effort. You speak from places in yourself that you never had access to before. You may move through life differently, not chasing the light anymore, but actually becoming the vessel that can hold it. Because after all, that is what we're here for. We're here to hold the light, to become it. You're no longer looking for God because you're inhibiting the spaces where God can move through you. And this is something that I've been experiencing. Something that I knew conceptually when my Kundalini awakening first knocked at my door. These truths came through very clear, but I didn't actually know how to integrate them or what that meant tangibly. I remember I just knew when my awakening first happened. I remember it very clearly about how we are here to descend into the bodies, how there's all these higher selves waiting to birth into the body, and how God is ready. This second coming, this grand awakening is really about God coming into physical form, but it isn't coming through one person. It is coming through many. It is literally God manifesting into matter, into physicality, but through each of his children. I say he, but those who watch my work, it's relative. But yeah, what I was saying was that this is what I've been experiencing, after years of spiritual seeking and all of these cosmic activations. Now, truly, I understand the real path is here. It's literally in the tenderness of my tissues. It's in the ache of my heart. It's in the breath. It's in this breath right here, right now, that brings me back to this moment. And maybe like me, you've already felt glimpses of this in your own path, in your own journey. Moments when your presence softened somebody's walls, or perhaps when your light language just poured out through you like a prayer. When your voice, when your tears, your touch can change the entire atmosphere. When you could literally just plant a seed in someone and then witness that seed grow. This isn't just healing. This is ascension within the body. And so the more that we start to descend, the more your light becomes undeniably real, because at this point, at this stage, there's no more chasing light, because it was never about chasing the light to begin. That's actually a trap. It's not a concept. This is where you start to become a living emanation. This is the path that we're all being called into now, not to leave, but to arrive. The lie is anything that makes us go outside of ourselves, that's taking us out of here. We're not here to ascend away, but we're here to actually descend fully in. So if your body has been asking you to slow down, if you're feeling pressure in your head, if you're having these kinds of symptoms, if you've been riding the waves of emotions that don't make sense, a lot of this is people talk about ascension symptoms. And these are symptoms that we experience, but we're not experiencing the symptoms to track and to say, okay, we're going someplace, we're all of a sudden going to ascend out of our bodies or have all these magical gifts. No, it's these symptoms is a rewiring. There's a rewiring that needs to happen to our bodies, because our bodies are literally multidimensional technology. It is this interface that will allow God to drop into physicality. But one, we need to be able to activate that technology, integrate that technology, and that in itself is an entire journey and process. And then we have to be able to hold the light, because this also is a co-creative journey. This isn't something that, okay, we're just gonna ascend, which is really descend overnight. No, you have to be a willing participant in this process. And part of the process is your body. Your body is the portal. Your body is how you ascend. The ascension is within the body. Again, we're not here to descend away. We are here to descend fully inside of ourselves. So all of these symptoms that many of you are feeling in regards to our body, it's because, yes, the planet is receiving more light. Yes, the planet itself, Gaia, is going through her own metamorphosis, her own internal ascension. And so as the earth is receiving more light, as our bodies are receiving more light, we're having to release and purge all the densities. We're having to release everything that isn't ours, so that we can make space in these vessels to hold our original source frequency. If you've been feeling all these symptoms in your body, know that it is part of the process of descending, because again, we're not here to leave our bodies. We're actually here to come into our bodies. So we have to know how to be with our bodies. We have to know how to travel within ourselves. And you're not broken, but you are being rewritten. Ascension is not about becoming someone or something else, okay? Which is something I also see a lot, where it's like so many of us, it's like we want to become like, all of these aspects of our multidimensional selves and galactic selves. And that is all part of you. And when your true technology starts to come online, which I'll talk about in another video, that's part of the activation of your natural blueprint. Those things will naturally take place, but it's not from this place where now you're identifying as this thing, as, people start to identify as Mary Magdalene, or they start to identify or take these characteristics of Jesus, and from more of an identity space, or it's a whole little rewiring that happens when your body truly starts to ascend. Like all of these things will happen naturally, and it's not a mental process, if that makes sense. It's really about remembering who you already are beneath all the programs that you were told otherwise. But all of that happens here inside of your body, your vessel, in this body. Your body is literally the portal here on earth, because you came here on earth We came here to bridge heaven on earth.